The giant room was silent. Jake Morrison stood at the small platform where humans had to speak. His hands were steady, but his heart was beating fast. Above him, thousands of alien creatures sat in tall chairs that went up to the ceiling. Their eyes were all looking down at him. The voting was done. The big screen in front of everyone showed the numbers. Jake read them slowly. 847 species said yes to making humans slaves. 0 species said no. Only 3 species did not vote at all. Jake felt sick in his stomach. For 6 months, he had been here on this space station. He had talked to alien leaders every day, had shown them pictures of human art and music, had explained how humans could help make the galaxy better. None of it worked. Captain Lisa Hayes stood next to Jake. She was wearing her best uniform, but it did not matter now. Her hand moved toward her gun, but she stopped herself. There were too many alien guards around them. She had been a soldier for 20 years. She had never felt so helpless. High Counselor Zephyr stood up from his crystal chair. He was tall and thin with 4 yellow eyes. His skin looked like silver metal. When he smiled, Jake could see rows of sharp teeth. "The decision is final," Zephyr said. His voice was loud and cold. "The humans will be classified as Category 7 workers. This means they will do hard labor for the rest of their lives. Their planet will be mined for all its resources. Humans will work until they die." The alien crowd began to cheer. Some of them made strange sounds that hurt Jake's ears. Others clapped their many hands together. A few creatures with tentacles waved them in the air like they were celebrating a holiday. Jake looked around the room. He had spent months trying to talk to these beings, the blue-skinned Altarians who claimed to love peace, the warrior-like Corlings who respected strength, the small Palaxians who were supposed to be very smart. All of them had voted to make his people slaves. "Why?" Jake asked, his voice carrying across the silent room after the cheering stopped. "We have done nothing wrong to any of you." Zephyr's 4 eyes focused on Jake. "Your species is dangerous. You fight wars among yourselves. You destroy your own planet. You advance too quickly. In just 100 of your years, you went from riding animals to flying in space. This is not natural." "Other species had wars too," Lisa said, stepping forward. "The Corlings fought for 3,000 years before they joined the Council. The hegemony conquered dozens of worlds. Why are we different?" A large creature with 6 arms and red skin stood up. This was General Thane of the Corlings. "Because you are too good at war," he growled. "We watched your history. Your species learns to kill faster than any we have seen. If we let you grow stronger, you will be a threat to all of us." Jake felt anger growing inside him. "So you decide to attack us first, before we have done anything wrong?" "What is not an attack," said a small voice. The speaker was tiny compared to the others, with gray skin and large black eyes. This was Scholar Quirk from the Palaxian Republic. "It is prevention. Better to control the threat now than fight a war later." "You mean better to make us slaves?" "Now," Jake said. "Yes," Zephyr replied simply. "The harvester fleets will arrive at your planet in 6 months. Your people will have that time to prepare. We are not cruel. We will give you food and shelter. Your children will be educated to serve the galaxy properly." Lisa's face turned red with anger. "Our children will be raised as slaves." "Will be raised to be useful," Zephyr corrected. "It's much better than the violent savages they would become under your influence." The crowd of aliens began talking among themselves. Jake could hear dozens of different languages being spoken at once. Some sounded like music, so others sounded like machines breaking. All of them were discussing how to divide up humanity and Earth's resources. Jake closed his eyes for a moment, thought about his home in Colorado, thought about his wife Sarah, and his 2 young sons. They were probably watching this meeting on television, along with 8 billion other humans. What would he tell them? How could he explain that the galaxy had decided their fate without even giving them a real chance? "Is there no way to change this decision?" Jake asked. Zephyr's laugh sounded like breaking glass. "The vote was unanimous. There's never been such agreement in the Council's history. Usually at least a few species vote against any proposal, but not this time. Every intelligent species in the galaxy agrees that humans must be controlled. What about the 3 who did not vote? Lisa asked. The Zentari are in hibernation and will not wake for another century, Zephyr explained. The Void Dwellers never vote on anything involving solid matter species. And the ancients stopped participating in council business long ago. Their abstentions mean nothing. Jake opened his eyes and looked directly at Zephyr. You are making a mistake. Oh? What? Mistake is that, human. You think you know what we are capable of. You think because we are new to space travel that we are weak? You are wrong. Zephyr's 4 eyes narrowed. Are you threatening the council? No, Jake said calmly. I am warning you. Our wars and our violence. But you have not seen what we do when our families are threatened. You have not seen what humans can accomplish when we have no choice but to fight for our survival. The room became quiet again. Jake could feel thousands of alien eyes studying him, stood straighter and spoke louder. For 6 months, I have tried to show you our art, our science, our capacity for growth and peace. You've rejected all of it. You decided we are nothing but animals. Fine. But remember this moment when you discover what humans really are.
Oh.
General. Thane laughed, a deep rumbling sound. What can your primitive species do against the combined might of 800 worlds? Your entire fleet could not defeat a single one of our battle groups. Lisa stepped forward again. Maybe not our current fleet. What does that mean? Scholar Quirk asked, his large eyes blinking rapidly. Jake and Lisa exchanged a look. They both knew about Project Prometheus. They both knew about Dr. Amanda Roberts and her team working in secret laboratories deep under the Rocky Mountains. They knew about technologies that humanity had been developing in private, technologies the aliens had never seen. That means, Jake said slowly, that you have 6 months to reconsider this decision. After that, you will learn why underestimating humans is the biggest mistake you could ever make. Zephyr stood up to his full height, which was nearly 10 feet tall. Guards escort these humans back to their ship. They will return to Earth and prepare their people for processing. Any resistance will be met with the destruction of their entire planet. 6 large creatures in black armor moved toward Jake and Lisa. Each guard was twice as big as a human and carried weapons that could kill with a single shot. Jake and Lisa did not resist as they were led from the chamber as they walked through the long hallways of the council station. Lisa whispered to Jake, Do you really think Amanda's project will work? Jake looked out through a window at the stars. Somewhere out there, Earth was spinning peacefully, not knowing that its people had just been condemned to slavery by species they had never met. It has to work, Jake whispered back. Because if it doesn't, humanity ends in 6 months. Behind them, the aliens continued their celebration. They had no idea that they had just made the worst decision in galactic history. Admiral Vex stood on the bridge of his massive warship. Through the large windows, he could see his entire fleet spread out across space. 300 ships had come to harvest Earth and capture the humans. This should have been easy work, but something was very wrong, Report Vex ordered his science officer. The Palaxian creature named Quirk was staring at his instruments with confusion. Sir, I have run the scans 5 times now. Earth is not where it should be. What do you mean, not where it should be? Vex's voice was sharp. He had been planning this mission for 6 months. Every detail had been checked and rechecked. The planet is gone, sir. There is nothing where Earth used to orbit around the sun. No planet, no pieces of rock, no signs of destruction. Just empty space. Vex grabbed the sensor display and looked at it himself. The 3rd planet from the sun was simply missing. In its place was nothing but empty space and starlight. They have moved it? Vex asked. Quirk made a nervous sound. Sir, moving a planet would require technology far beyond what humans possess. It would take the energy of 100 stars just to shift a world from its orbit. Then where are they?
On
the other side of the galaxy, far away in a hidden nebula. Colonel Ryan Brooks watched the alien fleet through secret sensors. He was standing in the command center of New Geneva, humanity's new home. Around him, dozens of technicians monitored screens showing alien ships scattered across Earth's old solar system. They look confused, said Lieutenant Kate Phillips. Looking over Ryan's shoulder at the displays, Ryan smiled coldly. Good. Let them stay confused for a while. 6 months ago, when Jake Morrison and Lisa Hayes returned from the council meeting, they had brought terrible news. But they also brought time. 6 months to prepare for war. 6 months for Dr. Amanda Roberts to finish her impossible project, and she had succeeded. Dr. Roberts walked into the command center, wiping oil from her hands. She had been working on the dimensional engines for 18 hours straight. Her gray hair was messy, and her clothes were dirty, but her eyes were bright with success. "The last calculations are complete," she announced. "Earth's new position is stable. The aliens will never find us here." "How long can we stay hidden?" Ryan asked. "Forever, if we want to. The nebula blocks all normal sensors, and our dimensional shield makes us invisible to anything else." Ryan nodded. Phase 1 was complete. Earth and all its people had been moved to safety using technology the aliens could not imagine. But hiding was not enough. The galaxy needed to learn what happened when you threatened humanity. "Begin Phase 2, Ryan ordered. Across the galaxy, human ships began to move. These were not the small exploration vessels the aliens had seen before. These were warships built in secret over the past 6 months. They used the same dimensional technology that had moved Earth, allowing them to appear and disappear like ghosts. The first attack came 3 days later. Captain Kate Phillips commanded. The stealth ship Retribution, as it emerged from dimensional space near a busy trade route. Below them, a massive cargo ship was carrying food supplies to the Altarian homeworld. "Target their engines only," Kate ordered. "We want them alive too. Spread the word." The human ship fired once. Blue energy beams struck the alien cargo vessel, disabling its engines but leaving the crew unharmed. As emergency systems activated on the alien ship, Kate opened a communication channel. "This is Captain Phillips of the Human Resistance Fleet," she announced. "Your council voted to enslave my people. Now you face the consequences." The alien captain, a blue-skinned Altarian with 4 arms, appeared on the screen. His face was full of fear. "But humans are extinct," he stammered. "Earth was destroyed. Our sensors detected nothing." Kate smiled coldly. "Your sensors were wrong. We are very much alive, and we are very angry." Human soldiers in advanced armor transported onto the alien ship. They moved quickly and efficiently, taking all the supplies but harming no one. Within 30 minutes, they were gone, vanishing back into dimensional space as suddenly as they had appeared. The Altarian captain was left floating in his disabled ship, staring at the empty space where the humans had been. On his cargo hold, walls burned into the metal with precise laser fire, was a message in perfect galactic standard language. "You voted for war. You have it." Admiral Vex received the report while still searching Earth's empty solar system. He read it 3 times before believing what he was seeing. "Impossible," he muttered. "Humans do not have this technology." But the attacks kept coming. A hegemony mining station was raided by ships that appeared from nowhere. The human raiders took all the rare metals and left behind another message burned into the station's hull. "We do not forget." A Corling military convoy was disabled by invisible attackers who struck without warning and vanished before help could arrive. The surviving warriors found words carved into their ship's armor: "We do not forgive." Within 2 weeks, 17 separate attacks had been reported across the galaxy. Each time, human ships appeared from empty space, struck quickly, and disappeared completely. No alien force could track them or predict where they would strike next. The galactic economy began to shake. Trade routes that had been safe for thousands of years were suddenly dangerous. Cargo ships refused to travel alone. Military escorts became mandatory for all commercial vessels. But even with protection, the attacks continued. Captain Lisa Hayes, now promoted to admiral, stood on the bridge of her flagship Defiance. Around her, holographic displays showed the locations of human strike teams across the galaxy. Each team was small, fast, and deadly. "Status report," she requested. Commander Jake Morrison, who had returned from his diplomatic mission to take a military role, stepped forward with a datapad. 23 successful raids in the past week. 0 casualties on our side. We have captured enough supplies to support New Geneva for 2 years. What about alien casualties? Minimal. We are following the plan exactly. Disable their ships. Take their resources, but avoid killing unless absolutely necessary. Lisa nodded approvingly. The plan was not about genocide. It was about making the galaxy understand that humans were not helpless victims. Sir, interrupted Lieutenant Commander. Sophie Grant from the communications station. We are receiving multiple emergency broadcasts from the Galactic Council. They're calling for immediate military response to the human attacks. Let me hear it, Lisa ordered. High Counselor Zephyr's voice filled the bridge. All member species are ordered to increase patrols along trade routes. The human terrorist attacks must be stopped immediately. Any species that captures human raiders will receive significant rewards. Lisa turned off the broadcast. Terrorist attacks. Is that what they are calling our defense of our people? Jake walked over to stand beside her. It does not matter what they call us. What matters is that it is working. Our intelligence reports show that several Council species are already questioning the decision to attack Earth. Through the main view screen, Lisa could see the swirling colors of the nebula that hid their new home. Somewhere beyond that cosmic cloud, 8 billion humans were safe on their transported planet. Protected by technology the aliens could not understand or detect, but safety was not enough. The galaxy needed to learn that humanity would not be enslaved, would not be conquered, and would not be dismissed as primitive savages. Increase the frequency of attacks, Lisa ordered. I want the aliens to understand that nowhere is safe from us. Every day they delay in reconsidering their decision, we become stronger and they become weaker. Should we target military installations? Jake asked. Not yet. Keep hitting their economy, their trade, their comfort. When they realize that their decision to enslave us is costing them everything they value, they will begin to reconsider. Admiral Vex finally gave up searching Earth's solar system and returned to Council space with his fleet. His report to the High Council was brief and embarrassing. Earth has vanished, he announced to the assembled alien leaders. There is no trace of the planet or its population. However, human forces are now attacking our territory using unknown technology. Zephyr's 4 eyes glowed with anger. How can an extinct species attack us? They are not extinct, sir. They are hiding somewhere we cannot find them, and they have weapons we cannot match. Then find them and destroy them. Sir, our best scientists cannot explain how they move their ships. They appear from nothing, strike without warning, and vanish completely. We cannot fight an enemy we cannot locate. In the council chamber, worried murmurs began to spread among the alien delegates. The simple plan to enslave a primitive species was turning into their worst nightmare. The humans were not only alive, were fighting back with technology that made the galaxy's greatest minds look like children. And this was just the beginning. High Counselor Zephyr sat in his crystal chair, but he was not comfortable. Round him, the council chamber was filled with angry voices from hundreds of alien species. Everyone was shouting at once, and most of them were shouting at him. 17. Supply convoys destroyed in one day, roared General Thane, his 6 arms waving wildly. My people are going hungry because you promised us the humans were gone. The trade routes are completely unsafe, complained Ambassador Krill of the Merchant Guild. Her tentacles were turning purple with stress. No cargo ship will leave port without a full military escort. Shipping costs have increased by 300%. Zephyr raised one of his long arms for silence, but the shouting continued. 3 months had passed since the human attacks began, and the galaxy was in chaos. What had started as simple raids on cargo ships had grown into something much worse. Order. Order! Zephyr finally screamed, his voice echoing through the chamber. The aliens slowly became quiet, but their anger was still clear on their faces. The situation is under control, Zephyr lied. Admiral Vex is tracking the human terrorists. It will be found and destroyed soon. Under control? Skalaquirk stood up from his small chair. The tiny Palaxian was shaking with fear. Yesterday, humans appeared inside our most secure research facility. They stole our files and left before our guards could react. Our own home planet is not safe. Far away on New Geneva, Commander Alex Turner was reading those same stolen files. His infiltration team had successfully penetrated the Palaxian Research Center using dimensional portal technology. The information they found was very interesting. "Look at this," Alex said to his intelligence team. They were sitting around a table covered with alien documents and data crystals. The Palaxians have been keeping records of every species the Council has enslaved over the past 1,000 years. Lieutenant Commander Sophie Grant looked up from her translation device. "How many species are we talking about?" 43 different civilizations. The Council has been conquering and enslaving worlds for centuries. They just call it bringing order to primitive societies to make it sound better. Alex smiled grimly. This information was exactly what humanity needed for Phase 3 of their plan. Within days, human ships began appearing at worlds that had been conquered by the Council decades or centuries ago, but they were not attacking. They were delivering messages. On the mining world of Kepler-7, thousands of Draconi slaves stopped their work when human soldiers materialized in their work camps. The reptilian creatures had been slaves for 200 years. Forced to dig rare crystals from deep underground, Captain Ryan Brooks stepped forward and spoke to the confused aliens in their own language. Human linguists had been studying the stolen Palaxian files around the clock. "My name is Captain Brooks of the Human Liberation Fleet," he announced. "We know about your enslavement by the Galactic Council. We are here to offer you a choice. The eldest Draconi slave, an ancient creature, named Seth, crawled forward on his damaged legs. What choice do you speak of, human? We have been slaves for so long that most of us have forgotten what freedom means. You can return to your original homeworld, which we have confirmed still exists, or you can join us in our fight against the Council. We will provide you with weapons, ships, and training. The choice is yours." Seth looked around at the thousands of his people who had gathered to listen. Most of them had never known anything but slavery. But in their eyes, Ryan could see something awakening. "Hope. What do you gain by helping us?" Seth asked suspiciously. "The Council voted to enslave my people just as they enslaved yours. We fight the same enemy. Together, we are stronger." The response was immediate. Nearly every Draconi on the planet chose to join the humans rather than return to their old world. They had suffered too long under Council rule to simply walk away from the chance for revenge. Similar scenes played out across dozens of worlds. The Zenthari, small blue humanoids, who had been enslaved for 3 centuries, the Corvin insect-like creatures forced to work in chemical factories that slowly poisoned their bodies. The Yalan, peaceful plant-based beings whose entire species had been turned into living factories to produce food for. Council worlds, all of them, were given the same choice. All of them chose to fight. Dr. Amanda Roberts was working overtime too. Modify human technology for their new alien allies. Each species had different needs and abilities. The Draconi were excellent miners and engineers. The Zenthari were natural pilots with reflexes twice as fast as humans. The Corvin could survive in toxic environments that would kill most other species. "We are not just building an army," she explained to Admiral Lisa Hayes during their daily briefing. "We are building a coalition of every species the Council has wronged over the centuries." Lisa looked at the reports coming in from liberation missions across the galaxy. "How many have joined us so far?" "It's over 2 million beings from 37 different species, and the numbers grow every day." New Geneva was expanding rapidly to house all the new arrivals. What had started as humanity's hidden refuge was becoming the capital of a multi-species rebellion. Streets that had been empty 6 months ago were now bustling with creatures from across the galaxy, all working together toward the same goal. But the humans were not just liberating slaves. They were also making the Council's life much more difficult in other ways. Commander Kate Phillips led a special operations team that specialized in what humans called impossible attacks. Using dimensional portal technology, her teams could appear anywhere in the galaxy without warning. "Target confirmed," Kate whispered into her communicator as her team prepared to infiltrate the Hegemony Military Academy. "Beginning portal insertion now." A shimmering circle of light appeared in the middle of the Academy's most secure classroom. Through it stepped Kate and 5 other human soldiers, wearing advanced armor that made them nearly invisible. The alien. Cadets in the room froze in shock. Their instructor, a massive creature with 4 arms and thick armor plating, reached for his weapon. "Do not move," Kate ordered in perfect hegemony language. "We are not here to harm anyone. We are here to deliver a message." She activated a small device that projected a holographic display showing images from the liberation missions. Freed slaves working alongside humans, former prisoners learning to use advanced weapons. Entire species that had been written off as extinct, now building ships and preparing for war. "The Council told you that humans were destroyed," Kate continued. "They told you that we were primitive and weak. Look around you. We are standing in your most secure facility, and your sensors never detected us coming." The alien instructor finally found his voice. "What do you want?" "We want you to take a message back to your leaders. Tell them that every day they continue this war, we grow stronger. Tell them that 43 species now fight beside us. Tell them that soon we will have the strength to do more than just raid cargo ships." Kate and her team walked back through their portal and vanished. The alien cadets were left staring at empty air, wondering how humans had just appeared and disappeared in their most protected facility. Back on New Geneva, the War Council was making plans for the next phase of operations. Admiral Lisa Hayes stood at the head of a table surrounded by representatives from dozens of species. Humes, Draconi, Zenthari, Corvin, and many others were working together to plan strategy. "Intelligence reports show that the Council is pulling military forces back to protect their core worlds," reported Jake Morrison. "Trade between Council species has dropped by 60%. Several Outer Rim planets are declaring independence," Good Lisa replied. "But we need to push harder. They still think they can wait us out or find some military solution to stop us." Seth, the former Draconi slave who had become a military advisor, spoke up. "My people know the locations of Council weapon factories that are hidden from public knowledge. If we could destroy their ability to build new ships, ... Excellent idea," Lisa agreed. "Kate, I want your teams to start hitting military production facilities. Make it clear that nowhere is safe from us." Young Zenthari pilot named Zix raised her small hand. "Admiral Hayes, what about the Council species that did not vote for human enslavement?" "The 3 that abstained?" Lisa considered this carefully. "The Void Dwellers and the Ancients have never interfered in galactic politics, but the Zentari are still in hibernation. When they wake up, they might be valuable allies. Continue monitoring their status." As the meeting continued, reports arrived of more successful liberation missions. More species were choosing to join the growing coalition, or Council worlds were losing faith in their leadership's ability to handle the human threat. "Hi, Counselor." Zephyr was beginning to understand that he had made a terrible mistake. What had seemed like a simple solution to a potential problem had become the greatest threat the galaxy had ever faced. The primitive species he had dismissed as unworthy of freedom was now leading a rebellion that included nearly 50 different civilizations. Worlds that had been loyal to the Council for centuries were starting to question their loyalty. And somewhere in the depths of space, hidden in a nebula that blocked all sensors, humanity was preparing for the next phase of their war. The message appeared everywhere at exactly the same time. Every television screen on every inhabited world in the galaxy suddenly showed the same image. Admiral Lisa Hayes stood on the bridge of her flagship, her uniform perfect and her expression cold as ice. No government could stop the broadcast. No military force could block the signal. Even the most secure Council facilities found their private communication systems taken over by the human transmission. "Citizens of the galaxy," Lisa's voice rang out across billions of worlds. "1 year ago, your leaders voted unanimously to enslave my species. You celebrated our defeat. You looked forward to using human slaves to make your lives easier. Behind her, the view screen showed images that made alien viewers gasp in shock. Human fleets emerging from dimensional portals around major Council worlds. Hundreds of ships appearing simultaneously. Their weapons pointed at planetary shields and orbital defense stations. But the humans were not firing. They were waiting. On the Council homeworld of Centralis, High Counselor Zephyr watched in horror from his crystal palace. Through his windows, he could see human warships surrounding his planet. His own fleet, which had once numbered in the thousands, was nowhere to be seen. Most of the ships had been captured or destroyed over the past year. "How many ships do they have?" Zephyr asked his military advisor, a nervous Altarian general named Corks. "Our sensors count over 3,000 vessels in the immediate area, sir. But they keep appearing and disappearing, so the actual number could be much higher." Zephyr felt sick. A year ago, he had commanded the loyalty of 800 species and controlled the largest military force in galactic history. Now he was trapped on his own homeworld, surrounded by the very species he had tried to enslave. The broadcast continued. "You made one critical error in your calculations," Lisa said, her eyes staring directly into the camera. "You assumed that because we were new to your galactic community, we were weak. You mistook our desire for peace as inability to wage war." The image shifted to show scenes from liberation missions across the galaxy. Former slaves working alongside humans. Alien species that had been forgotten by history, now flying advanced starships. Weapons factories that had once served the Council, now producing equipment for the human coalition. "You wanted to know what humans are capable of when threatened," Lisa continued. "This is your answer. We are capable of doing in 1 year what your empire could not prevent in 1,000. We are capable of freeing every species you enslaved. We are capable of turning your own strength against you." Commander Jake Morrison stood in the communication center on New Geneva, coordinating the largest military operation in human history. Around him, dozens of screens showed human and alien forces taking positions around every major council world. "Fleet commanders report status," Jake ordered. "Altarian Prime is surrounded. Their planetary defenses are offline," reported Captain Ryan Brooks from the battleship Vengeance. "Hegemony Central Command has surrendered without firing a shot," announced Commander Kate Phillips from the stealth cruiser Shadow. "Corling Homeworld is requesting immediate ceasefire negotiations," added Captain Alex Turner from the carrier Freedom. One by one, the reports came in. The most powerful civilizations in the galaxy were finding themselves helpless against forces they could not understand or defeat. Planets that had never known fear were now faced with the possibility of complete destruction. But still, the humans held their fire. The broadcast reached its climax as Lisa stepped closer to the camera. "We could destroy every one of your worlds today. Your defenses cannot stop us. Your fleets cannot find us. Your leaders cannot protect you."
Wow.
On thousands of worlds, alien populations watched in terrified silence. The primitive species they had dismissed as worthless was now demonstrating power beyond their imagination. "But destruction was never our goal," Lisa continued, and her voice became slightly softer. "We are not like you. We do not conquer for the pleasure of conquest. We do not enslave others to make ourselves feel superior. We do something your galaxy has never seen." She paused, letting the tension build across countless worlds. "We show mercy to those who show none to us." In the council chamber on Centralis, emergency sessions were being held every hour. Representatives from hundreds of species were arguing frantically about what to do. Some wanted to fight to the death. Others begged for immediate surrender. General Thane of the Corlings slammed his 6 fists on the conference table. "Warriors, we do not surrender to anyone, especially not to humans." "Then you are a fool," replied Ambassador Krill of the Merchant Guild. "Look at our situation. Our fleets are destroyed, our trade routes are cut, our colonies are in rebellion. The humans have won this war completely." Scholar Quirk of the Palaxians was studying intelligence reports with his large eyes. "The humans now command the loyalty of 67 different species. Their combined fleet outnumbers our remaining forces by 10 to 1. Mathematically, continued resistance is impossible." Zephyr sat in his chair, his 4 yellow eyes focused on nothing. He was remembering the day 1 year ago when he had announced humanity's enslavement to the cheering crowd. He had been so confident, then, so sure that his decision was correct. "What do they want from us?" he asked quietly. "Complete surrender," answered his intelligence chief. "They are offering terms, but only if we accept total defeat first. And if we refuse? Then they implement what they call the same solution we intended for them. Zephyr understood. The humans were offering the Council the same choice the Council had given humanity: submit to slavery or be destroyed. Across the galaxy, the human broadcast was reaching its end. "You have 1 hour to respond," Lisa announced. "Send representatives to New Geneva with full authority to negotiate surrender. Any delay will be interpreted as continued resistance." The transmission ended, and the galaxy held its breath. On New Geneva, preparations were being made for the surrender ceremony. The hidden world that had once been humanity's secret refuge was now revealed as the center of a vast interstellar coalition. Landing platforms were being prepared to receive delegations from across the galaxy. Dr. Amanda Robart was making final adjustments to the dimensional technology that protected their world. "The barriers are ready," she reported to Lisa. "Even if they try some desperate attack, they cannot reach us here." "They won't attack," Lisa replied confidently. "They're too busy trying to save themselves." She was right. Within 30 minutes of the broadcast ending, surrender messages began arriving. From across the galaxy, the proud Altarian Empire transmitted their complete submission. The mighty Hegemony Navy ordered all remaining ships to stand down. The ancient Krathri Dominion, which had never surrendered to anyone in 3,000 years, sent word that they accepted human terms. Jake Morrison was receiving the messages as they came in. "That's 237 species so far," he reported to Lisa. "Every major power has surrendered. Most of the minor ones are following their lead." "What about Zephyr himself? No word yet from the High Counselor?" At that moment, a new transmission arrived at New Geneva. It was from Centralis, and it carried the personal seal of the High Council. The message was simple and brief. "High Counselor, Zephyr, speaking for the entire Galactic Council, formally surrendered all military forces and government authority to the human coalition. He requested safe passage to New Geneva to negotiate terms for his people's survival. The being who had once commanded the loyalty of 800 species was now begging for mercy from the humans he had tried to enslave." Admiral Hayes read the surrender document carefully. Around her, her staff waited quietly for her decision. The war was over. Humanity had won completely and totally, but victory was only the beginning. Now came the much harder task of deciding what to do with a galaxy that had tried to destroy them. "Send a response to Zephyr," Lisa ordered. "Tell him that he and representatives from all council species are invited to New Geneva. They will be treated as guests, not prisoners. Negotiations will begin as soon as they arrive." Jake looked surprised. "Guests? For everything they tried to do to us?" Lisa smiled, but it was a tired smile. The weight of commanding humanity's war effort had aged her considerably over the past year. "Jake, we're about to show the galaxy something they've never seen before. We're about to demonstrate what it means to be truly civilized. The hardest part of this war isn't winning it." She looked out at the stars visible through the command center's windows. Somewhere out there, the most powerful civilizations in Galactic history were preparing to come before humanity and beg for mercy. The hardest part is what we do after we've won. The transport ships arrived at New Geneva one by one. Each vessel carried the leaders of species that had once ruled the galaxy. Now they came as defeated beings hoping for mercy from the humans they had tried to enslave. High Counselor Zephyr was the first to step off his simple transport craft. Gone were his crystal robes and golden ornaments. He wore plain gray clothes and walked with his 4 eyes looking down at the ground. Behind him came General Thane of the Corlings, Scholar Quirk of the Palaxians, and hundreds of other alien leaders. Admiral Lisa Hayes watched from the observation deck of the New Geneva spaceport. Beside her stood Jake Morrison, Kate Phillips, Ryan Brooks, and the other human commanders who had led the war effort. Also present were representatives from the 67 species that had joined humanity's coalition. "They look smaller than I remember," Kate observed, watching the alien delegates shuffle toward the reception area. "Fear has a way of shrinking." "Even the mightiest beings," replied Seth, the former Draconi slave, who was now a senior advisor in the human government. The surrender ceremony was held in the largest auditorium on New Geneva. The space had been built to hold meetings between different human settlements. but now it hosted the most important gathering in galactic history. Lisa walked to the center of the room. Round her, in carefully arranged seating, sat the leaders of every major civilization in the galaxy. Many of them were the same aliens who had cheered when humanity was condemned to slavery just 1 year ago. "You were probably expecting us to establish our own empire," Lisa began, her voice carrying clearly through the silent room. "You expect us to make you our slaves, just as you plan to make us yours? That is what your species would do in our position." Zephyr lifted his eyes to look at her. "Is that not why we are here? To learn the terms of our enslavement?" Lisa shook her head. "No, you are here because we are going to do something your galaxy has never seen before. We are going to show you what it means to be truly civilized." Jake stepped forward with a datapad containing the terms that humanity was offering. But before he could speak, General Thane interrupted. "If you do not plan to enslave us, then what do you want?" the quarreling warrior demanded. "We want to build something better," Jake replied calmly. "The Galactic Council will be dissolved. In its place, we propose the Confederation of Free Worlds." Activated a holographic display that showed the structure of the new government. Unlike the Council, where powerful species dominated weaker ones, the Confederation would give every world an equal voice. Every species will have representation. Based on population and contribution to galactic society, Jake explained, not military strength, not economic power. True representation for all beings. Scholar Quirk studied the display with his large eyes. What about species that are still developing? Those that have not yet achieved spaceflight? They will be protected and helped to grow, Lisa answered. No species will ever again be classified as primitive or advanced. All will be treated as equals, regardless of their current technology level. Dr. Amanda Roberts entered the auditorium carrying several data crystals. She had been working for days to prepare her presentation. Now, she would share humanity's greatest secrets with their former enemies. These crystals contain the complete plans for dimensional technology, she announced, placing them on the table in front of the alien delegates. Energy generation systems that can power entire worlds. Medical advances that can extend life and cure diseases. All of this will be shared freely with any species that joins the Confederation. A murmur of shock ran through the assembled aliens. The technology that had made humanity's victory possible was being offered as a gift to the very beings who had tried to destroy them. Ambassador. Krill of the Merchant Guild tentacles were turning bright blue with confusion. Why would you give us the weapons that defeated us? Because they are not weapons, Dr. Roberts replied. They are tools for exploration, for healing, for building a better future. We developed this technology not to conquer others, but to protect ourselves and help our people grow. Zephyr stood up slowly from his seat. His 4 eyes were wet with tears that surprised everyone in the room, including himself. I do not understand. After everything we planned to do to your species, why do you offer us mercy? Captain Kate Phillips, who had led many of the raids against Council forces, answered before Lisa could speak. Because that is what makes us human. We do not become monsters just to defeat monsters. But we voted to enslave your entire species, Zephyr continued, his voice breaking. We were going to work your people to death in our mines and factories. We were going to steal your children and raise them as slaves. Yes, Lisa agreed quietly. You did plan all of that, but we are not you. She gestured to the mixed crowd of humans and aliens who filled the auditorium. Look around this room. Humans, Draconi, Zenthari, Corvin, and dozens of other species working together. A year ago, most of these beings were slaves. Now they are free citizens with equal rights and equal voices. This is what we offer you, Jake added. Not slavery. Not conquest, but partnership. The chance to be part of something greater than any single species could build alone. The terms presented to the surrendering powers were unlike anything in galactic history. Species that joined the Confederation would keep their homeworlds and colonies. Their governments could continue to exist, but they would have to follow new laws that protected the rights of all beings. No species would be allowed to enslave another. No world could be conquered for its resources. Disputes between species would be resolved through peaceful negotiation, not warfare. What if we refuse? Asked General Thane. What if some species choose not to join your confederation? We'll be left alone on your worlds, Lisa replied simply. We will not force anyone to join us. We also will not allow you to harm others. Any species that tries to return to the old ways of conquest and slavery will find themselves isolated and alone. Over the following days, the alien delegates met in small groups to discuss humanity's offer. Many of them could not believe what they were hearing. The species they had dismissed as primitive was offering them not just survival, but equality. Scholar Quirk was one of the first to make his decision. My people have always valued knowledge above all else, he announced to his fellow Palaxians. The humans offer us scientific advances beyond our wildest dreams, and they ask for nothing but peaceful cooperation in return. How can we refuse? Thane took longer to decide. The Corlings had built their entire culture around the idea of the strong ruling the weak. But as he watched human and alien children playing together in New Geneva's parks, he began to understand what humanity was offering. Perhaps, he said to his warriors, there is more strength in building than in destroying. One by one, the alien leaders announced their decisions. The Altarian Empire would join the Confederation. The Hegemony Navy would become part of a joint defense force protecting all member worlds. The Krathari Dominion would share their ancient wisdom with younger species. The signing ceremony took place exactly 1 year after the original vote to enslave humanity. But instead of condemning beings to slavery, this gathering was creating a new form of government based on equality and cooperation. Zephyr was the last to sign the Confederation Charter. As he pressed his hand to the document, he looked up at Lisa Hayes. A year ago, I stood before the council and declared your species unworthy of freedom, he said quietly. Today you have shown me what freedom truly means, Lisa smiled. And for the first time in months, it was a genuinely happy expression. The galaxy tried to judge us before they knew us. We chose to understand you instead of simply defeating you. Years passed and the Confederation of Free Worlds grew strong. Trade flowed freely between species that had once been enemies. Scientific discoveries were shared openly, leading to advances that benefited everyone. Children from hundreds of different worlds learned together in integrated schools. Admiral Hayes often stood in her office, looking out at the busy spaceport of New Geneva. Ships from across the galaxy arrived daily, bringing representatives to the Confederation capital. Humans worked alongside beings they had once considered enemies, building a future that none of them could have imagined. The species that had voted unanimously to enslave Earth had indeed learned to plead for mercy. But in receiving that mercy, they had discovered something far more valuable than conquest or power. They had learned what it meant to be part of a true galactic civilization, where strength was measured not by the ability to destroy enemies, but by the wisdom to turn those enemies into friends. The galaxy had underestimated humanity once. It would never make that mistake again, because now humanity was not alone. They were part of something greater, something that would endure long after the old empires were forgotten. They were part of a confederation built on the simple human idea that all beings, regardless of their origin or abilities, deserve to be free.